Welcome to the Sisters of the Shire Podcast. I'm Abby, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host Ashley, and together we explore J.R.R. Tolkien's amazing literary world in a way that is easy and enjoyable for everyone, whether you are a Tolkien expert or just curious about Middle-earth.
This season, we're diving into the unfinished tales. If you're already familiar with these stories, awesome, great. Stick around as we uncover cool details and geek out over the lore that makes these tales so special.
And if you haven't read the unfinished tales yet, like me, no worries. If you've loved The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, like me as well, but you haven't gotten into the deeper lore of the other books, this is your chance to discover more of Tolkien's universe with us. Our podcast is all about engaging discussions and having fun while we explore these lesser-known stories.
So grab a comfy seat or strap in if you're driving while listening and join us. Seatbelts. Eyes on the road, people. And join us on this journey through Tolkien's unfinished tales. Let's go.
Let's go. Honestly, I'm never really in a comfy seat when I listen to our podcast. I'm either like doing the dishes, gardening.
Yeah, folding laundry.
Yeah. I saw this. There's a TikTok of this guy who listens to one of my favorite podcasts, and they go on tour. So like you can go see them live, like the podcast live. And he's like, I really wanted to like upgrade my viewing experience of watching them live, like how I listen to them at home. So I brought some laundry with me to the
I love that so much.
Because it's like, that's how I listen to them.
Yeah.
Like me too.
Wouldn't quite be the same without,
he's like, I had to get the
socks.
Full experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Folding
you
some
just
towels.
Like bring like one of those the we call them laundry sprinkles, just like get a whiff of that,
Yeah, so huffing some dryer sheets.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to share what you do while you listen to our podcast, I think our buddy, our dwarf friend of the Shire, he does woodworking. So, I mean, I know that's one person.
That's cool. If you're a runner, do you do it like when you're running long distance? That'd be cool.
I used to do that a lot. And then
my other friend, it's their commute to work, like back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Ashley, how are you? How's it been going? I know we haven't talked to each other in a little bit, but
yes, I'm doing good. I do have a little Lizzie here with me today. It is almost the end of summer break.
I know. Don't even get me started.
But also, I kind of want my life back.
I know. I do love having my kids in school because they love school, and I can, get things done and blah blah blah. But like, I like summer break, and I'm so sad that it's over. Both of our kids actually go to school on Monday, huh?
Actually, I figured out it's the stupidest thing. Lizzie does. It starts on Tuesday, and then she has early release weekend on Wednesday, Thursday, and then 4-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then again on Tuesday, back to school.
I know. So we start on Monday, and then we have early or late start on Wednesday, and then we don't have school on Friday or Monday. Which I'm like, couldn't you guys have just given us that extra 4 days and gone after? I don't know. But yes, we're getting ready for school.
I mean, yeah. So like, we'll ease you back into school. Like, actually, we're good. You can just throw us in.
Yeah, they're pretty excited. it's our yearly tradition with our kids. Today's the day they post their teachers and what class they're in and all their classmates.
I think ours too.
And so we go and we take a walk because we live like across the street from the school. So we could take a family walk because they put physical copies taped to the doors of the school, and so we go find out who their teachers are today and if they have any friends in their class. And the kids woke up like, is it teacher day? And I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna go later. So excited.
Teacher day.
I know. It's weird. My son is going into 5th grade. He's going to be his last year of elementary school. So,
oh my gosh,
I know. Next year is old. I don't want it to happen. Anyway, let's talk about other little kids that are not going on that are going into perilous journeys and having to grow up too quickly.
Yes. So I know we have had a little break, and I sound like a broken record. Sorry, we missed last week. Dude,
just a lot of family stuff going on.
A lot of family stuff and summer. I cannot explain enough how much summer is just messing with my schedule.
Okay, I have to tell you though.
Yes.
Speaking of summer, last week, my daughter was in a ballet camp.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you about this?
Yes. Yes, you did.
She was in a ballet camp, and it was all week long, and it was like 5 hours a day, and it was not completely. They had some structure, but it was mostly child-led camp. So like they got to choose their choreography. They got to choose the song that they were dancing to. They got to choose the theme of like the dance recital. Okay, because there was a dance recital at the end, and there was 2 different themes because there was 2 different like, not what is it? Acts, I guess.
Oh,
there's one act and then like an intermission, and then there's another act.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one was farm. Okay.
Oh, farm. Tell me that part. Okay. Farm themed. That's interesting. She was a farm and ballet don't usually go together, but okay.
She was a dog, and she danced with a cat, and that was her dance. And they danced to That's Not My Name from the Ting Tings, which is so funny to me.
That's a good one.
But there was also a dinosaur on the farm. There's a little boy in her ballet class, and he was a dinosaur.
Good dinosaur has a farm.
There was also a giraffe, which isn't that weird because there is a farm in Utah next to my mother and father-in-law's house that they have a giraffe. Like, it's in their farm. Anyway. And camels. It's pretty, yeah. Anyway. So that was pretty like, okay, cool. Farm theme, whatever. The kids are making their own costumes. They're doing their own makeup. They're choosing the theme for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
People who listen to this podcast, I bet you $1 billion that you would never guess the theme of the second act that they did for ballet camp for 4 to 10-year-olds, I think was the age range. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you 2 seconds to think that you think you know what it is. Okay?
I wasn't even close.
She came to me after her first day. Of camp, and she was like, I'm like, so what did you guys choose? And she told me, and I'm like, what are the words coming out of your mouth right now? Because my brain is not putting the connectors of what you're telling me to ballet camp. I'm like, I don't understand. The theme was car dealership, and the other older girl ballerinas who were kind of like the camp counselors, they're like teenagers, were like the customers coming in and trying to choose a car. And the ballerina little girls were cars, and they had to make their own car costumes, like out of boxes with like suspenders. And like Luna painted her own, and her license plate was a vanity plate that said "Roar" on it, which I'm like, amazing. Anyway, So each dance was a solo dance from each dancer of being a car and trying to impress the customers to buy them. Okay.
I love it so much.
So there's a lot of little girls in this class, right? So I was talking to teacher Emma, that's her ballet teacher's name, who's like my good friend. And I was like, how much Taylor Swift are you having to listen to right now? Because they get to choose their songs.
Right.
And she's like, there's so much Taylor Swift. And she's like, but I'm proud of Luna because she chose something that I'm like, oh, that's different. Not weird different, but like, that's cool that you listen to that.
It's not Taylor Swift. It's not her generation.
No. So Luna chose Super Trooper from ABBA, which I'm like, yes, queen. Yes. I'm like, perfect.
Raised him right. You raised him right.
I'm a proud mama. So that was amazing. And so I have video of that if you want when you come down today, actually. Ashley's going to come see me today. Anyway, I'll show you that. But then my favorite part was, so my husband was there because I unfortunately wasn't there because I had to catch a flight out to my sister's house. The timing didn't add up and it was really sad. So I missed it. But my husband was texting me like live updates of what was going on during the recital. And there was a little girl she was the tiniest girl there. She had to be like 4 or 5 years old. And her song that she chose for her car was Psycho Killer from the Talking Heads. And my husband's like, the tiniest girl here, she's dancing to Psycho Killer. And I'm like, you're joking me. If you don't know what that song is, please look it up. It's actually really catchy. I really like that song. But to have like tiny little girl in a tiny little like cute pink ballet outfit dancing to this song, and then my husband took a video of it and he like pans to the audience and there's a bunch of like grandmas and grandpas like smiling, like clapping, like, we don't know what's going on. Like, what is happening? Oh my gosh, it made me laugh so hard. But I'm like, hey, that girl's got cool parents.
Yeah. That's when you're okay, I found my friend that I can stand next to. The next drop off.
Yes. So anyway, I just had to tell you guys that because that's like my favorite thing that's happened so far with my daughter's dance. Okay, but
class. What's funny? What is the most ironic thing about that whole situation? Okay, is if you have ever been to your city that you live in, there actually are quite a few dealerships. So, I mean, I get it where the girls would like think that.
My town does have a lot of car dealerships.
But the most ironic thing, and what's funny is I'm sure it wasn't like Luna's first idea, is Luna's grandpa, your dad, owns car dealerships.
It's in her blood.
It's in her blood.
It was funny because she her car was the make and model of the cars my dad sells. So like,
yes,
that was she was very much like into it. Anyway, I just had to share that story because it was my favorite thing that's happened recently. And a lot of crappy things have been happening recently to our family, so that like made me happy. So I hope it made you happy too, everyone.
Yes.
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. How much do you remember, or do you want me to do the recap?
I know that his mom, Turin's mom, sent him away because she's like, oh yeah, I totally forgot. You're actually not supposed to stay here. We're actually supposed to go somewhere else. Yes. But silly old me forgot. And also I'm super pregnant right now, so I can't make that journey. So you need to go on your own, but I'm going to give you these 2 old men to take care of you. You might die out there. But I'm sorry. Whenever she says like that, I know she's a good mom and I know she like loves her child. She's not good at like showing that love very well, but I really wanted her to say the line from Shrek when he's like, some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she does not have a filter. There's no she loves them, which is the hard part, but cold, just very cold and very direct.
She was cold before she had all this loss and sadness, but I don't think that helped very much.
Right. Now she is ice.
So Morwen is sending Turin off because she's like, I don't want you to be a thrall under the Easterling guy to make you like a slave. And I want you to be safe. And your father told us to meet him at this place if he's still alive. So you need to go. And it's to King Thingol, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is so notorious of like being super loving and welcoming and loving to like humans and mortal men.
Wide open gate, easy entrance,
welcome basket, just like all this fun stuff. So he's supposed to go there. He's supposed to go there, but he's like what, like 9, 10 years old, and so. Honestly, he's like, but how am I supposed to get there? Like, where am I going? And then also,
here these grandpas will take you.
Isn't it like the wrong time of year? Isn't it like winter or something like that?
It's getting close to winter, yeah.
Yeah. So,
great timing.
I don't know if you have a map. I don't know if there's a map, but like, how far would he have to go?
I was trying to find a good map, and I couldn't find like the one that was like narrowed in enough because they're pretty far away.
So you're talking like hundreds of miles, probably.
Yeah.
So
and as you could die on that path. So,
yeah,
I mean,
and so this poor little boy is having to be sent away from the the only stable thing he has, which is a mother that's not very loving, but loves. And in her own special way.
It's home.
Yeah. And, he's going to like a new place where he doesn't know anyone. And
doesn't know if Thingol's even
him. His dad has a curse placed on him by Morgoth because Morgoth picked him out of the battle and got so annoyed with him.
I want that one.
Yeah, this one. He has the prettiest hair. So he has a curse on him, but it also trickles down to the family. So poor Turin and his siblings and his mom also have he got cursed with sadness. Like his family got cursed with being sad.
Be so unlucky is basically how I think of it. Like you are going to get
all the sad things.
Yeah. Okay, there's your map. I gave you a map.
Oh, let me open that. Hold on. I got to get to my email.
Oh, sorry. I just added it to the outline.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me get to the email. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay. So we're going from Dorlumen, Hiflum, Dorlumen, having to cross that arid Wethrin, which is literally the shadowy mountains. And then through that forest of Brethel, totally fine. All the way to Menegroth down there. So we're not talking tour distance, but we're talking a pretty long distance for a
little kid.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
So probably hundreds of miles.
Yeah. But don't forget his lovely conversation with good old Labadal before he leaves.
Oh, where
trying to put back the pieces of his heart.
I know. So, anyway, so I can't remember from our last conversation or our last recording. Had he left? Like, did he leave?
He was just walking away, and it's like, and then Morwen's fingers like crushed the post she was holding for strength as she is, having to send away her firstborn child. And Turin's crying and Morwen's crying, and the grandpas are like, it's gonna be okay. Make sure to wave to your mother. And yeah.
Oh.
And then it literally ends with like, and that was the first sorrow of Turin. Like,
oh God.
Don't worry, there will be more.
Oh. So yes, that's where we ended last time. He's finally going out on his journey to King Thingol. We hope.
Yes. We hope. So, shortly after Turin leaves, Morwen does have her baby. And because she is just so good at naming, her children, and because she has, she's dead inside at this point, she just names her Nienor, which means mourning. Like, as in, I am in mourning for my son that I just sent to possibly his death.
Cool.
Yeah. So she's not allowed to name things ever again.
It's it's giving Addams Family. It's giving Hot Topic.
I mean, like, what would be if they were twins? They'd be like mourning and grief. Like, what would be the
mourning and despair?
Despair. Oh my gosh, that's a perfect one. So that's just kind of the and then back to Turin. So it's like, yay, baby's born. Oh, we gave it a sad name. Cool. Let's pause there. Let's get back to Turin. So Turin is going on his journey with his grandpa soldiers. And despite their age, these soldiers are still very valiant and brave. They actually do know the land pretty well from their old soldiering days. So they do know the way. They're not going to get lost at all. They're great. They're fine. But as they start to, pass the mountains of shadow and they enter the forest of Brethel, then they are going to come across something that maybe they didn't come across in their soldiering days, which is the Girdle of Melian. And remember, this girdle is basically an invisible magical barrier that Melian designed to keep Menegroth secure from outsiders. And it just basically, like, if you come across it, you'll be lost and confused.
So it's like a deterrent of...
Yeah, so it's like, what do they call it? Repellum Muggleton or something. There's a spell for that.
In Harry Potter, where they
Harry Potter, yeah,
get lost while coming close to what was it?
Hogwarts
or no, they were getting lost coming towards the Quidditch World Cup. That's it.
Quidditch World Cup. That's it. Yeah. So they get to this girdle and they're just becoming increasingly more lost. They eventually run out of food. And I can imagine them just kind of like laying on the ground, who's going to go first, the old men or the young boy? Like,
oh man,
they're pretty dire.
There's some very edges of the spectrum here. Like,
right.
There's no good in between.
No. So just when things seem most dire, they hear a horn in the distance. And who would it be? But
I could be the sound effects.
Beleg the Strongbow.
Ooh, isn't he the cool guy? Don't I really like
He is the cool guy. He is so the cool guy. We love Beleg. But I was remembering, I listened to a podcast called The Last Podcast on the Left, and they did a segment on the Donner Party, which they did amazing. But, they had people that were, stranded, starving, and then like a rescue party came. And the first thing that one of the stranded people say is like, are you from the city or are you from heaven? Like,
yes. Mm-hmm.
Like, did I hear that? Are you real?
Are you an angel?
Yes.
Yeah.
But also, I imagine to an elf, or to a man looking at an elf,
it does look like an angel.
It does look like an angel. It's like that scene.
The wind is blowing perfectly, and his hair is like blowing in the wind majestically.
When Arwen is coming to Frodo with when he's like in the dark place, and she looks all glowy. So, but maybe not quite as majestic, because Beleg is the renowned elf woodsman from the Kingdom of Thingol. And so maybe he's a bit dirtier than the rest of the elves, but still majestic, still amazing, still awesome. We love Beleg. And, you know, he's probably just been scouting the borders, keeping it safe. Oh, I know. Oh, man. I can't imagine what his armor would be, but
I wonder if there's any good Beleg art.
There's some out there, but not nearly enough, people. Fill the gap. So Beleg comes across Turin, and I'm not sure if they find him after they hear the horn, or if they, you know, come across Turin and the grandpa soldiers. I imagine it was quite a like, what are you guys doing out here? This is a random gathering of people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm impressed you've made it this far, you guys. Good job. And, you know, they kind of explain why they're there, and Beleg sees Turin and he asks him directly, and he says, quote, "What boon would you have of King Thingol?" Like, what would you ask King Thingol? What do you want from that man? Because, you know, maybe he's trying to pre-screen him. Like, if you're going to ask for a Silmaril, you've got another thing coming. Or if you're trying to ask for, you know, his daughter's hand, already taken. But if you're just looking for a place to live, like, maybe we could do that. I suppose we have room.
Does the girdle not affect him?
Beleg?
Yeah.
No. I think that the girdle only affects people that they don't know. I think it's like, if you've been invited in, you're fine.
If you are already in the kingdom, like,
yeah,
it doesn't affect you or something.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So Turin, in only his adorable, trying to act older than his age way, says, so like, what would you want of King Thingol, little man? And he says, quote, "I would be one of his knights to ride against Morgoth and avenge my father."
Oh gosh.
And I can just imagine Beleg going like, "Oh, you sweet young thing." And, you know, Beleg sees Turin, and he's like, and apparently he's described as having the beauty of his mother and the eyes of his father. And so he's like, "Well, you could soon, little buddy. Maybe you got some years to grow, but, you know, maybe in the future, we'll see. You know, I'm not one to crush a little kid's dreams."
Do you think he tussles his hair? Like,
I 100% bet that happened. So Beleg decides, you know, it's like, okay, so you passed my little test here. I see your intentions are good. So I'm going to send a messenger back to King Thingol. Just make sure we're all on the up and up, and make sure I can bring you guys in. So messenger comes back.
On the list.
Yes. Messenger comes back, and King Thingol has approved it. I'm not sure, like, hey, we found this little kid and some old guys in the wilderness out there. They say they want in. Is that okay? So imagine, like, maybe they're just curious. So like, well, I've had a boring week. Let's see what what excitement this will bring.
Yeah.
So Beleg and his elf garrison escort Turin and his grandpa soldiers back to Menegroth. Maybe there was like a secret entrance the whole time. Maybe it's like in the labyrinth where, like, no, you have to walk through it, and it was like a wall, an entrance the whole time. Oh, that was there the whole time.
I have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
So Turin becomes special later on. Like, we know what happens to him later on. Do the grandpa guys just get to chill in Menegroth, or do they have to go back? Do they have to, like, walk all the way back?
I will pause on that question. I will revisit that question in here in a second.
Okay. Because I can see King Thing. I'll be like, I like him. Let's keep him. Those old guys bringing down the vibe. Ugh, gross. Oldies, get them out of here. No. They're disgusting. They're wrinkles. Yuck. Ew. No. That's not the vibe we're trying to put in here. This is not our brand. Get them out of here.
But, Thingol's had a change in heart. Remember, after the whole Baron incident, his heart has been warmed a little, so we'll see what he does. But as Beleg leads Turin and the Grandpa soldiers back into Menegroth, remember, this is only the second, third, and fourth men to ever enter Menegroth. Baron was the first one, and they haven't had anyone else since. So I imagine it was pretty impressive to Baron to Turin. He's like, this is how elves live? What? Yeah. So
not afraid for your life all the time? What?
Yeah. What's that like?
Do you guys have furniture? No way.
We have to burn ours for firewood.
Yeah.
So one of the Grandpa soldiers explains their mission to King Thingol, and they even have like a message that Morwen had, wanted to have delivered. We don't get to hear that message, either in my head, it's like either a super humble, like, please, I beg of you, King Thingol, have mercy on my son. I just want to keep him safe. Or was it like, can you just like watch him for a bit? I didn't want to, I just can't. I just can't.
Yeah.
Mama needs a minute. Okay. So I can see it going both ways. But luckily, whatever she said, she didn't offend King Thingol, which I feel like is like the majority of the battle. So King Thingol, he greets Turin with honor, and he even, quote, sets Turin upon his knee in honor of Hurin, his father, mightiest of men, and of Baron, his kinsman. And those that saw this marveled, for it was a sign that Thingol took Turin as his foster son. And that was not at that time done by kings, nor ever again by elf lord to a man.
Whoa. Baron really did a number.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like
on King Thingol's heart. His heart
grew
three sizes
that day. But I mean, I love this, but it's also like, I'm sure he learned his lesson after this. Like, no one's done it since, and this is why. Like,
oh no.
Because we all know how Turin's going to turn out, and he's like, yeah, we're not doing that again. I was a little hasty, maybe. Like,
yeah,
maybe I should have gotten to know him a little better. Yeah.
That's egg on my face.
Yeah. So Thingol says, quote, here, son of Hurin, shall your home be, and in all your life you shall be held as my son, man though you be. Wisdom shall be given you beyond the measure of mortal men, and the weapons of the elves shall be set in your hands. Perhaps the time may come when you shall regain the lands of your father in Hithlum, but dwell now here in love.
What? In love?
Like, you'll be safe. Like, here you'll be in a home where you're loved and appreciated.
I know, but like, that is not the vibe I've ever gotten from that guy.
Right. 3 hearts, 3 sizes. So, also, I do find it funny that no one knows about the curse, but it's like giving someone that's very, very clumsy and very, very bad luck more weapons to use that bad luck. Like, I'm going to give you so much wisdom, but actually you've been cursed so that no one will trust your wisdom, or that no one will like understand your wisdom. Or I forgot how Morgoth does it, but like, and the weapons of the elves shall be set in your hands, and you'll be great. You'll be such a good swordsman to later cause more damage to yourself and or others. Like, and I also love that he didn't mention the grandpa soldiers at all. Like, I'm going to adopt you, but yeah, kind of like you were saying earlier, you guys, I could do without.
Gross.
Oh, you're still here? You're not just dropping him off?
There's a show that I was watching recently, and there was an older woman who had to be like in her 60s, maybe. Yeah, in her 60s. And she got hired at a business, and she was confused, or another coworker was confused why they hired her, and they're like, we had to hire an old, like, to like hit our quota of like being, like all the different types of people. But I love he's like, yeah, we had to hire an old.
Yes.
So I can totally see King Thing. I'll be like, ew, an old, get him out of here.
Well, they all move into Menegroth. They actually stay. And I imagine that was a rough transition, but maybe the soldiers are like, ooh, this is nice. I have food on the regular. I have my own bed. This elf living is nice.
They probably have really good shampoo and conditioner. Like,
right?
Amazing.
Right. But for some reason, one of the grandpa soldiers, maybe it doesn't, the diet was, too rich, or maybe, his body was like, oh, we don't have to fight or flight anymore. Let's just get sick and die.
No.
So, yes, one of them dies. And I imagine it was kind of an odd moment for the people of Menegroth. Like, have we had a death here? When's the last time we had a death?
What do we do?
So
okay. Have you ever seen Muppet Treasure Island?
It's been way too long. I do not have that one memorized. I know it's one of your favorites.
We love the movie here. But so there's a scene where Billy Bones, he's played by Billy Connolly, I think.
Oh, I was going to say Pepe Le Prawn.
No, it's a human guy. But he like dies, but it's really funny because he like dies and they're like, oh, and it's the little boy and Gonzo and Rizzo watching this guy die, right? He's in a bed. And then he'll pop back up. He's like, but you have to do the... and he'll like fall back and die again. And then like it happens like 3 times. And then at the very end when they're like, oh, he's really dead, they're like standing in the room. And then Rizzo goes, we're in a room with a dead guy. And then they start freaking out. I could totally see like the elves like, there's a dead guy in here. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yes, 100%. But also, I'm surprised
that would be weird.
The elves couldn't like heal him up, or Melian couldn't do anything. But they're like, it was his time. I'm not messing with that mortality. That's not my thing. So the other grandpa soldier, now left on his own, he's like, I'm not sure if I should stay here anymore. It seems like we die quicker here, possibly. So I'm going to go back to Morwen. I've got a thing. I've got to go. So he decides that he's going to go back to Hithlum. And Melian does send along like a little care package, a gift basket, maybe, along with like a garrison, like an escort. Let's make sure he makes it there all the way, you guys, because this guy, apparently these mortals are very fragile.
I know.
They barely made it here. So they get back to Hithlum, the grandpa soldier and this little garrison of elves, and they deliver their gifts, and they're like, we personally invite you to the kingdom of Menegroth. We've been told to escort you back. So are you gonna come? And Morwen's like, I have this baby. Babies kind of make it hard to travel. Plus, my husband's supposed to come back like any minute now. I'm pretty sure I just heard his horse's hooves again. Oh, wait. No, that's not real. But I mean, it could be any day. You never know.
It reminds me of Finding Nemo. I was just like, this is my sister Flo. Don't tell her, she's crazy.
Yeah. So Morwen, declines the offer, but decides to send back. He's like, oh, you gave me a gift. And it's like this awkward, well, I guess I have to gift you something. Hold on, I don't have much. How about this? This is our last crumb that we have. We've been saving it for a special occasion.
Here's a half punch gift card to the sandwich place down the street. It's not full yet, but I mean, I have already got you halfway there. Here you go.
Here's an IOU. Those are better than cash.
Yeah.
But one thing she does send back, and I have no idea how she has managed to hide it this long, because from what I've heard about it, it sounds like it's a pretty big thing. She sends back the Helm of Hador, the dragon helm of Hador.
She's had it this whole time?
She's had it this whole time.
What?
Yeah. Remember, because Hurin didn't go take it into battle because he's like, I want Morgoth to see my face when I slap that bee. But, I guess I could, I could either live through this battle or I could have Morgoth see my face. I want him to see my face. I'm going to take that chance. Because the Helm of Hador is magical. We're going to talk more about it next episode.
It has a dragon on it.
It has a dragon on it. It goes a bit more into detail on the dragon helm than in the Silmarillion. So get excited for that next episode. But with helm in hand, but no Morwen, King Thingol's elves return to Menegroth. And you keep this old guy. Here's your old. He stays here. He can't come back with it. Okay, bye. So they come back to Menegroth, and Turin sees, maybe he's been like anxiously waiting, like if the messengers left, to go get my mom. I'm so excited. And then he sees them come back, and his mom's not with them. And his grief is just so strong. He runs into the woods and has a good cry. And now Tolkien's keeping score here and says, and that was the second sorrow of Turin. Like, I mean, I think it's funny that he's keeping count, but so yeah, we're on sorrow number 2 out of who knows how many.
Oh my gosh. That poor kid.
And that's actually where we're going to leave you today, is on a sad Turin crying in the woods by himself.
Cool.
Yeah. So we ended last episode with the first sorrow. Now we're on to the second sorrow. I can only imagine it's going to be uphill from here. Right, guys?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us on this epic journey through Middle-earth. We really appreciate your patience and understanding and your loyalty listening to our podcast. You could also follow us on Instagram at Sisters of the Shire Podcast. Big shout out to our patrons, Dan, our dwarf friend of the Shire, and Chrishane and Tom, our elf friends of the Shire. You guys rock. You guys keep us going. We really appreciate you guys. If you want to join our fellowship, you can go to patreon.com/Sisters of the Shire Podcast. For $3 a month, you'll become an elf friend of the Shire. For $7 a month, you'll become a dwarf friend of the Shire. And for $9 a month, you can be one of our men or women friends of the Shire. Your support means everything to us, and we really appreciate the help in keeping up with our podcast expenses and such. So we really appreciate it. If you can't become a patron, we totally get it. If you could help out in another way, though, you can leave us a review. 5 stars, please, if you don't mind.
I'll make it easy for you. 5 stars already. Just do that.
Yeah, just go to the 5. Your feedback helps, us find other listeners that might like our podcast. And, it also makes our day. So if you want to make our day, 5 stars.
Please.
Just go to 5.
What was I going to say? And also share with your friends, family, coworkers,
random people if you see on the street wearing Lord of the Rings merchandise.
Also, if you guys tag us and stuff on Instagram, like your own personal artwork or photos of you doing like Tolkien related things or any
folding your laundry as you're listening to our podcast,
fun things that you've found Tolkien related. We would love to. We'd put you on our stories on our Instagram. So
yeah, I think the Prancing Pony sent us these awesome freaking Lord of the Rings shoes. And I went to the website and it was all in another language I couldn't understand. And I'm like, how much is it? What is TL? I don't understand what that unit of money is, but I want them. Turkish coming up, you guys. I want to. Oh, maybe that makes sense.
I'm guessing.
As far as world news, speaking of other countries, the Czech Republic, you have taken out Brazil and Slovenia. So get it, Czech Republic. India has overtaken the Philippines and Switzerland, and Russia just obliterated Albania. Albania, are you going to stand for this?
Whoa,
Fight back. So, yeah, that's all I got for you today.
Like we said, this is the only time we allow countries to overthrow other countries.
Yes, we encourage it. We
egg in this platform only.
Yes.
Thank you for teaching me today.
You're welcome. Until next week, I've been Ashley.
And I've been Abby, and this has been the Sisters of the Shire podcast. And we're so glad you joined us today, and we hope you can join us next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for teaching me a day.
Yay!